It is almost 11 at night, and you are standing at the sink washing the pan they said they would get to. The water is too hot. And somewhere in the quiet back room of your mind, a small number ticks up by 1. You don't say it out loud. You might not even know it's there. You can recall in vivid detail every single time your partner let you down this month. The forgotten errand, the flat reply to your good news. Yet the 100 small kindnesses from those same weeks tend to blur into nothing. The wound stays sharp, while the warmth dissolves. We claim we are just being fair, just remembering the truth. But if you listen to the language we use in our heads, I always, they never, it reveals a deeper habit. We are maintaining an invisible scoreboard. Tallying and fairness are different things. We have to look at what this silent accounting actively does to the person you love, and why it leaves you lonelier every time you add to it.
Long before you kept a scorecard, your brain was optimized for a different kind of balance. For most of human history, a pleasant afternoon by the river taught your ancestors very little. The afternoon a predator appeared by that same river taught them everything. Survival required prioritizing the memory of threats over pleasant experiences. This wiring is known as the negativity bias. When a painful experience occurs, the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, flashes red and encodes the event far more deeply than a positive one of the exact same size. A single cutting sentence from a partner echoes for days, while a week of gentle ones barely leaves a trace. Relationship researchers have quantified the emotional weight of this bias. It takes roughly 5 positive moments to balance out 1 negative slight. This scale shows the exchange rate your nervous system is quietly running every single day. This evolutionary math means that even in a loving partnership, the mental ledger can still read as if you are losing. The part of you keeping the count was never built to be balanced. The scoreboard does more than track the past. Eventually, it starts to rewrite the present. Researcher John Gottman identified a mechanism that triggers once resentment reaches a certain threshold. He called it negative sentiment override. This diagram shows how the override distorts communication. Every interaction leaves a residue. When the score tilts, that residue turns sour. A neutral sentence, like, "Are you really going to wear that?" passes through the filter of past hurts and emerges as a jagged attack. The words didn't change, but the interpretation did. Once this filter is in place, you stop noticing genuine kindness. Warm gestures bounce off because they don't fit the narrative. You're reading a script where they are already the villain. This habit feeds into contempt. The eye rolls and the tone of superiority signal that the case against your partner is closed. The scoreboard provides the evidence needed to reach a verdict before an argument even begins. If we can feel the isolation this causes, why do we keep adding entries to the ledger? The answer appears when we look at the moments where we are the ones at fault. In 2024, researchers observed a specific defensive reaction. When people realize they have done something wrong, they often immediately dig up a partner's past mistake to avoid sitting with their own guilt. This data maps a process called pseudo-self-forgiveness. By dredging up a past wrong, our empathy for our partner drops while our perceived victim status shoots upward. We use the old entry to let ourselves off the hook. The scoreboard functions as a defense lawyer. It stores ammunition to protect your image as the good partner. Letting go feels threatening because you'd give up proof you were right. Keeping score is for competitions. Relying on this defense mechanism turns a partner into an opponent, and no one wins a game where the prize is the relationship itself. The desire for fairness is a healthy response to an unbalanced load. This illustration shows the weight of the mental load, the silent tracking of schedules and needs that often falls on one person. When you feel you are carrying 70% of the relationship's weight, resentment is an expected biological signal. However, keeping a tally serves as a silent substitute for asking for what you need. A tally is a private case. You collect the evidence in the dark and present it only to yourself. This secrecy subjects your partner to a trial they don't know is happening, where they are convicted without ever seeing the evidence or having a chance to change. Choosing the scoreboard is a retreat into isolation. It replaces the vulnerable act of asking for help with the safe, lonely act of simply adding another number and going quiet. Dismantling the ledger begins with noticing the tally in real time. When you feel that number tick up at the sink, acknowledge it as a mental habit rather than an objective truth. Naming the scoreboard strips away its power. The next step is translating those numbers into sentences. The scoreboard uses accusations like, "you never." Moving toward equity requires the language of needs. "I feel like I've been carrying a lot lately, and I need you." Finally, you have to practice the work your brain tries to skip. You must deliberately search for the 5 small kindnesses that the negativity bias hides. Widening the lens allows you to see the person again, rather than just the case you've built against them. Lasting relationships require the courage to choose connection over winning. The partners who stay together are those who eventually set the whole ledger down. Success depends on whether you can finally stop counting long enough to be loved.